Hey everyone, let's create a custom NPCs with RPG Builder from scratch. As always, everything you have to do is directly inside the RPG Builder editor, so it is very easy and quick to do. I'm not going to go in detail about every single one of the settings just yet. Before doing that, I just want to show you how quick it is from scratch to set up a quick NPC and have it spawn in game. So I'm going to go ahead and do just that, then we will go in game, fight it, and after that we will go back to this menu and I'm going to show you and explain to you every single one of those settings. So let's create a new one. I'm going to call it bar. Then we will simply select an icon. Of course, you can have your own. In my case, it's just a screenshot from the Malbear's model because that's the model I'm going to use. And talking about model, I have to drag and drop it right now in the NPC model. I'm going to offset the model by a little bit. Nameplate is going to be 1.5. I'm going to drag and drop my bar, Animator Controller, and then the avatar. Here. Agent height. Like I say, don't worry too much about the values and the settings I'm doing right now. This is going to be explained better just after I spawn it. I just want to show you that in just a few minutes, you can have an NPC up and running. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to save now, and the bar is now added to your RPG Builder database, and we can just go ahead and spawn it with the developer panel if we wanted to test, or we can already now add it to one of our NPC spawner, which is what I'm going to do now. So in this case, I'm simply going to add the bar here to this already existing spawner, which in the demo is for deer, and I'm going to make it maybe 20% chance for deer and 80% chance for bar. And max NPC 4, so we are sure to have a few. Okay, let's go back to the main menu and let's go in game. All right, so we are in the demo map now, and as you can see, we already have a deer, which was already created before, of course, in the demo. And we also have our new NPCs bar working around, which we just added. So like I just wanted to show you, you see how quick and easy it is in RPG Builder to create completely new NPCs. And now we can already start fighting. So I can shoot him with the fireball. He's going to come to me and he's even going to attack us right away, deal damage. I'm going to now kill him. And we will also be able to get some loot because I attached a loot table to it. And we can loot all of that. Okay, great. So now let's get in the part where we actually, customize all the settings and make sure to have this NPC do exactly what we want. So let's go back to Combat, NPC, and our bar. And now I'm going to explain more in detail what it does. So the NPC model field is simply a prefab. I'm going to show you right now, this one. And as you can see, it has no component on it. No animator, nothing. So make sure to remove any component it has on it. I also suggest to remove any colliders it has in it. So that's it for the prefab, and RPG Builder is, based on those settings and those things you assign here, going to generate the prefab for you actually in-game. Now the model position means what should be the position of this model inside its parent prefab, because the NPC when spawned is going to create a prefab, and under that is going to spawn the model here. So you have full control over the position of this. And the reason I set it to -0-3, it's just so that it can be a bit more centered on the parent. And the scale, so if I will go ahead now and set it to 3, for example, and save, I'm just going to quickly show you. We'll go back in game, and you can really easily affect the size of your NPC like this. So it looks a bit funny, but yeah, there you go. Okay, nameplate Y offset. So this means, you see, when we deal damage to the board before, the health bar was visible and the loot icon at the end was visible, like for interacting extra. All of this is defined by the nameplate Y offset. Now, the Animator Controller one is an important one, and I'm going to show you. In this case, it's not actually an animator that I drag and drop, it's an override. So the override, as you can see, if I select the bar here, it's just a list of animation that we are going to override of an animator. So if I click here, it's going to show us the actual animator. This might get a bit complex for people who just started with Unity, but basically, when you install RPG Builder, I provide you with this animator template for your NPCs, and then I let you use override so that you don't have to duplicate this and one by one replace this animation extra. Instead, what you can do is go under the override folder, select one of the existing ones. For example, you can Ctrl D to duplicate, and now you could just drag and drop your boar or tiger or whatever NPC animation you need in there. So you would replace the attack, the death, get hit, idle combat, run, stun, and so on. So if you select the boar here, you see that I dragged and dropped all the boar animation from the Malburst animation pack. And then you just drag and drop this override over here, as you can see, like that. So quite simple. Now, if you wanted to start adding new animation in this override, like if you wanted more animation in this list, then you would have to go ahead and add them in this animator. So you would just drag and drop an animation in the animator like you would just normally do. And then you could select this again and it will show up here, and you will be able to now override it on all your NPCs. So the avatar is just the avatar of your NPC, nothing complicated. So you just go under the FBX and drag and drop the avatar. Here you have control over the animator settings. I usually leave it like this, but it's up to you. Here you can choose the nav mesh agent radius. So this is very important for your NPC to move around the way you want it in the scene. These values are from Unity. It's like the nav mesh component, right? So it's up to you what you set here. And you can do some research about that if you're not sure what it does. But basically, the nav mesh agent rotation, this number will affect how quick the NPC will turn around. For example, if we attack it from behind, usually a low value will make it look a bit weird, like it will slowly rotate. So I like to keep this pretty high. Then you have choice with what type of collider should be applied on this NPC. So in this case, we have capsule, sphere, and box. And yeah, once again, that's up to you. I usually use capsules for NPCs, but you have the choice for radius, height, collider center, and stuff like that. Now going in the function field. So I'm going to collapse this. Here we have quite a few things that we can either enable or disable for our NPCs. So here we have dummy. This is very simple. If you turn this on, this NPC is never going to die. So you're going to be able to take it to 0 health, but it's going to heal fully, completely. So this is very useful for target dummies in a village or whatever, just like we have in the demo. If combat is on, it is then going to run the combat logic. So it's going to try to use abilities and so on. If you turn this off, it's never going to try to use the abilities. If targetable is on, you can then click on it to target it. If player interactable is on, it means that this NPC will be assigned to the player interactable layer. And this is something you want to do for quest givers, merchants, quest giver, and dialogue, so that you can go up close to the NPC and you will have the interaction UI showing up, and you can press the interact key and interact with them. Show nameplate, it's if you want or not to show the nameplate above this unit. You can hide that if you want to. And movement, well, if you turn it off, the NPC is not going to move. Collision enabled, if you turn this on, it means that the NPC collision is going to be on with your player. I usually turn it off myself because it usually ends up being a bit messy with Unity collisions, but that's up to you. Now, the combat part. So here the first very important field is faction, and you cannot create an NPC without having a faction assigned. So make sure that you have your faction set up, but the demo comes with a few factions anyway. This faction field is very important because it will define every single interaction with every single other unit in the scene. So based on the faction of this NPC will act and interact very differently with you as a player, but also with any other NPC. So for example, Here we have the critters faction, which if we go here, critters, you see that by default they are neutral with humans, which is why the boar was neutral to us. But as you can see, they are hated with undead and things like that. So for example, if I spawn this boar, it's going to be neutral to me. But if this boar is next to an undead NPC, then the NPC, the undead one, is going to attack it, okay? And this one will attack the undead also. Now, these factions can change dynamically. So I could over time lose or gain reputation points for the critters, in which case, as you can see, I will go to hated or ally. And if I switch to ally, the boar is now going to be ally to me. I'm actually going to show you this in game because it's quite cool. I don't remember if I fixed the scaling. The boars might still be big. Yeah, they're still big, but it's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and select this boar now. And I go to faction. Developer panel, faction, and my combat, and faction critter. And here I'm going to add myself, for example, 200 points. And as you can see, they just switched to ally. So here, now I could try to attack them, but it's not going to work, right? The projectile is going to go through them because I'm not supposed to be able to attack allied with this ability. You can attack allies with your abilities if you want, but it's just not defined that way in the editor. So there you go, and this is persistent, of course. So the next time I go in game, it's still going to be allied to me, okay? So now let's go back to NPC. Species. Species has its own video, so I suggest you watch it. But basically, species allow you to have extra damage based on a specific species, and species can also trigger special action when they die or when they have a specific stat or whatever. So it's pretty complex. Just watch the species video, and you will have much more info on that. Now we have a scale with player checkbox. This is pretty much if you want this NPC level to be corresponding to the level of your character. So if you turn this on, whenever you meet an NPC in the world, it's going to be scaled with your character. If this is off, you have the choice between the minimum and maximum level this NPC can be. So whenever it's spawned, it's going to be between 1 and 50, inclusive. NPC type, it's very important, but this is something that will change in an upcoming AI update. And what this does pretty much is defining what kind of NPCs this is. Later, you will be able to have NPCs with multiple of those types. As of right now, you can only pick one, but no worries, like I said, it's going to be improved. But for now, we have the choice between mob, which is a normal mob like we just tested, rare, which is going to have an icon on top of it, or either a boss. And the only difference with boss and normal mobs for now is that boss also have an icon on top of them, a different one than the rare one, but they also have a boss UI. So when you get close to them on your screen, you will see a boss health bar to let you know that this is a different encounter, right? After that, we have merchant, and you see that when I select merchant, it's showing the merchant type here, which is then letting us select a merchant table that you of course create in the editor, allowing you for your NPCs to sell items to you extra. Then we have bank, which is not implemented yet anyway, so do not use it. And quest giver, so same as you can see here, when we select quest giver, it's giving us those two quest options. So this is very easy. When an NPC is of type quest giver, we can then have those two things, quest given and quest completed. So whatever quest you attach here is going to be available for you to take at this NPC, as long as you meet the requirement to get them, of course. And whatever quest you assign in the quest completed are the quests that will be possible for you to turn into this NPC. So for example, if we added a quest here like kill wolves, and here we also assign kill wolves, it means this NPC could give us the quest kill wolves, and we could also turn it in when it's done. Now you could start it with this NPC and complete it with another NPC, right? It's completely fine. Now we have dialogue, and dialogue also comes with its own option, and here you can just drag and drop the dialogue of your choice, and when you interact with this NPC, you will be able to start this dialogue. That's pretty much it for now. Expect improvement on this later. Agro range, pretty straightforward, right? At what range will this NPC aggro your character? Of course, he will only aggro you if the faction allows it, right? So if he's neutral or ally, he's not going to aggro you. distance from target. This is the distance at which this NPC is going to try to stay away from you. So when the boar is coming to us, I set it to 3 so that it's not like walking on us, right? So it's like 3 meters away from us. Distance from owner is the exact same thing, but this is for your pets or the pets of your NPCs. So the pets are going to try to stay at this distance from the owner instead of like all stacking up on him. Reset target distance means that after 25 meters from their own area, their roaming area, etc., they will pretty much lose target with you if they go too far. So then they will go back to their area. Now, another part that's going to be greatly improved in the future is the way you assign abilities. As you can see right now, it's quite basic. It lets you add as many abilities as you want. You can select the abilities you want here, whatever, the one you create in the editor. We may create a new one in this video if I can get through the settings quick enough and not make it like a 1 hour video. But anyway, as you can see right now, I assigned an ability, which is actually just an auto attack from the wolf pet. But it works anyway on this NPC also. And yeah, I mean, it's going to use it. NPCs can have a global cooldown that you can set inside the combat manager under the essential prefab. And they don't have any kind of order in which they are used. Right now, it's pretty much whatever is on cooldown is going to be used. So like I said, many improvements on this later. You will be able to have boss phases and things like that. Anyway, Agro link, this is a very cool one. This, for example, if I will go ahead now and select the bar and set it to 15, I'm actually going to show you this in game now. So before that, remember that when I tested the bar NPC, actually I'm going to go ahead and reset the scale to 1. Okay, when we tested the NPC the first time in game, I attacked the NPC and well, none of the other bar attacked me next to it, right? So what I'm going to do now is lose some faction with the bar because I want to be able to fight it. Are we? Yeah, okay, we're back to neutral now. So that's good. Now look, when I attack this bar, you see that all the bars around him within a, let me go back to NPC, within a 15-meter radius started attacking me also. So I attacked this one, but the other two came to me. So that's very cool. I think most people will want to use this. You of course don't have to, but if you want to, it's here for you. And as you can see, you can add as many as you want, and you can add specific NPCs, maybe wolf with their own distance, etc. So respawn settings, very straightforward. You can decide how fast they respawn with a mean and maximum. So it could be between 15 and 100 seconds. And you can choose how quick the body is going to disappear from the scene. Rewards, this is where you choose the experience bonus. So once again, minimum and maximum. You can even set a value that's going to be applied for each level. So let's say that we had 5 and 5 here. So it's going to be 5 fixed XP, but then 1 extra per level is going to be 10 experience total if this NPC was level 5, right? And here, as you can see, you can also have faction reward. So if I will go ahead now and add critters here, for example, every time I kill a boar, I'm going to get plus 100 faction points. In this case, it will make more sense to lose 100 because he is of the faction critters. So for example, you could make it that the more you kill this type of NPCs, at some point you will lose reputation with them, which means they will actually not be neutral anymore, for example, they will be enemies. Or of course, the other way around, by killing wolves, for example, I could now become allied with boars or whatever. Loot tables, as always, you can add as many as you want. You have a chance to drop this loot table. And here you can choose from all your loot tables you created in the editor. And loot tables also have their own chance to drop items. So for example, let's go to the gems loot table. So not only you have a chance on the NPC to drop this loot table, but the loot table have a chance also on each item to drop a specific item and a count and so on. So all of this is very configurable. Okay, another very, very important one, the stats one. So something you have to understand is that right now, with no stats here at all, the NPC, when it will spawn with all the default stat values, okay? So here, when you have your stats in the editor, for example, health, etc., if you do not override the stats on an NPC, then it will use those values. It will start with its default value and so on. Now, what you can do is go here and add a stat, for example, health, and you could set it to start instead at 500. Set the max value to 500 also, and maybe 40 health per level. So now I'm going to go ahead and save. We can go in game and you will see that the boar is going to be a lot more tanky. So if I go ahead and target him now, you see that it's 500. So it's going to add on top of the base values, right? And something even cooler is that with NPCs, when you add a stat of type vitality, so for example, if I add strength here, it's not going to give us any add action below it, but health is a stat of type vitality, right? So in this case, we can trigger actions based on some values. So death, of course, will not be needed because the death vitality action is already added to the health stat itself. But for example, you could trigger an ability when this NPC is dying. We can try this if you want. Actually, I would have to, let's say, the fire gust. If health is, and here you have option on, what this, like when this is happening. So here this action will happen based on the health stats, but here you have the choice. For example, should it happen when the health is below 50 or when it dies or something? So in this case, I'm going to set it to 0 and equal or below, but it doesn't really matter. And I'm going to remove this. So maybe just a little bit of extra health. I don't really want this to go too much too high, so we can quickly kill it in game. And what I'm going to have to do most likely is go in the Fire Gust ability type, hit settings, and add something for neutral, hit player, hit neutral, hit enemies, and enemies also in the case that it's enemy. If you don't do that, this NPC is not going to be able to attack you. So that's actually a good thing to bring up in this video. When you create your abilities, you can absolutely use one ability on all your NPC and even your player. They can have the exact same one. But when you go in the hit settings, it's very important that you set up those conditional hit settings. What this means pretty much here is that, okay, if someone use the Fire Gust ability, and this someone, so either a player or an NPC, is allied to the player, then it should be able to hit neutral and enemies. Now, if this unit is neutral, then it should be able to hit player, neutral, enemies, and so on. Same for enemies. And as you can see here, we can have many of those settings. For example, you could have abilities only possible to use on enemy, or only possible to use on your pets, or on self, allies. The pets can also have abilities that can only be used on owners. So they can only, for example, heal their owner or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and save that and just double check that it's perfectly set up. So if we go here, Fire Gust equal or below, and it should be fine. So now we will go in game, and hopefully when we kill the boar, one of the boar at least, it should go ahead and use this Fire Gust ability. Yeah, so as you can see, it used this kind of like, which this Fire Gust ability anyway is from the mage, so it's kind of like an AoE knockback. So let me do it again. And as you can see, it's doing an AoE around him and knocking us back. So that's not the perfect example with this boar, of course, but this can be very cool if you wanted to have some zombies exploding or all kind of things, It could really, create and trigger a lot of possibilities. And the last thing is movement. So quite simple, it's about roam range and roam delay. So this boar can roam more than 15 meters, up to 15 meters away from its spawn point. And it can, and it's not in can, but in between each roam, it's going to stop for around 5 seconds. Just, so that it's taking a pause, maybe looking around, and then starting to roam again. Now, I want to show you how to create a custom ability for your NPCs. So I'm quickly going to create something, maybe some kind of dot or whatever. So I'm going to create a new effect. Under combat effect, I'm going to do this very quickly, no polish, just to show you how it's done. Wait, I'm going to create a new one actually, because I don't want to override an existing one. Okay, so board dot board. Okay. It's going to be of type damage over time. It's not a buff. It's going to last 5 seconds and it's going to pulse 5 times. So here we have 5 seconds and 5 pulse, which means it's going to deal damage every second for 5 seconds. We are going to add a rank. It's going to deal 10 damage, or maybe 15, let's say. It's going to damage the health, because you could make it damage mana, energy, whatever you have as vitality stats. It's going to be physical damage, and we can leave all of that. We could set up maybe some lifesteal if you wanted to see how that works. Maybe 100%, because these are small values anyway. And that's it. And here we could have some visual effect. So here I know I have a blood, hit blood big, for example, just so that we really see it. So what this means is that every time this effect is going to pulse, so every time it's going to deal damage, it's going to spawn this visual effect. And this is a particle that's going to spawn on our player or whatever unit it's hitting, okay? Position offset, maybe something like 1, attached to caster. So this is going to attach to the target hit. And that's it. And the visual animation is not needed for now. Like I said, I'm not going to go too far in the polish. And I'm going to create a new ability, board dot. We don't really need icons extra because we're not even going to see it anyway. It's going to be only for the NPC. Instance. Maybe casted just so that it's kind of matching the animation. Target instance, so it's going to attack us easily. It's going to lock the target on us and attack us with that. And max range maybe 3.5. Hit setting. So here, as you can see, very important. Like I said before, if you don't add any hit settings, it's just never going to be able to hit anything. Now, if this board is going to be neutral to us, for example, then it has to be able to hit player, neutral, for example, other neutral unit and enemies. Cooldown settings, maybe 5 seconds. Effect applied. So this is like whatever is going to be applied to the hit unit, right? So in this case, the board dot, 100% chance to apply it, but you could have some other effect with lower chance if you wanted to. And the visual animation, probably something like attack 3. So attack 3, by the way, let me just quickly show you. If we go to NPC animator and template, here you see that we have parameters, and I already set up a few attack parameters for you. So all you have to do is write the name of one of those, and then you go in your override, the board, for example. Here you see that we have attack 3, which is it has like an animation clip attached to it, and you will see that now when the board uses this ability, it's going to trigger this parameter and it's going to place the animation. Now the last thing we need to do is go to the board, combat, add ability, and add the board dot ability we just created. So now we can go in game. I'm probably going to add myself some health, just so that I don't die so quick, and we can make sure that I showcase the ability. So 500 and 500. Okay, so we are a bit more tanky now. And let me attack one of the bar, and they will come to us. This one was further than 15 meters, so it didn't attack us. So now they attack us, and now, as you can see here, under my cursor, I have the board dot applied to me, which is, dealing damage. This is a tooltip bug. Don't worry about this. I'm going to fix that. Sometimes it gets stuck on screen when the effect is gone, as you can see here. But yeah, as you can see here, we have the effect. And actually, I forgot to do something. In this case, let's look for the board dots. I made it not stack. So max stack is 1 right now. I'm going to make it 5 so that all the boards can attack us and stack this dot on us. And it's going to look, you see now at the bottom left, we see the number 2. And now the dot is going to do more damage. So let me apply this 2 times on myself. Well, or let them apply it 2 times, hopefully. Only 1 time for now. They don't do it at the same time. I think their timing is wrong. Let me attack the other one. Okay, so 1 stack. Still not? Come on. All right, you want your ability cooldown reduced? I'm going to reduce the cooldown of the 4 dots. Maybe make it like 2 seconds, and I'm going to go ahead and make the effect even last longer, just so that it's better and easier to show in this video. And now, maybe 15 pulls, and let's make it a bit more damage anyway. Okay, so now they use it a lot. Okay, we're actually taking a lot of damage now. So as you can see, now I still have the dot, 5 stack on me, and I was taking quite a lot of damage, and they will probably kill me here. All right, it's okay, they won't. So that will be pretty much it for the video. As you can see, we have some lifesteal number here also. They are healing themselves, just like we set it up in the editor. So yeah, that will be it for this video with NPCs in RPG Builder. It is a pretty long one, but as you can see, it's just long because I spent the time to explain to you all these things, show you many things in the editor. I went a bit more in depth than just showing you the actual NPC system. So yeah, I hope you like it. I hope you learned a lot from this video. Definitely let me know in the comment and on Discord, and see you in a future video. Thank you for watching.